Over the past 4 decades, Westmoreland County Industrial Development Corporation has built an industrial park system that today is home to 165 companies with more than 9,000 employees. Its parks generate more than $6.5 million in annual tax revenue, and the organization is recognized as a leader in industrial park development. Thanks in part to its work, county leaders are optimistic about the future. But that hasn't always been the case. The origin of the Industrial Development Corporation can be traced back to the county's response to economic malaise that plagued the region in the mid to late 1970s.
So we were dealing with an unemployment rate between 14 and 16%. So we had to develop something substantial to try to reverse that trend.
One of the major elements of the county strategy was to build a series of industrial parks, starting with the development of 85 acres along Donahoe Road in Hempfield and another 22 acres in Allegheny Township. But as county officials started selling those parcels, they realized they had a problem.
We learned through that process it was very difficult to do a quick delivery of sites to companies that wanted to expand because we had to go through the county legal requirements, meaning it had to go through court approval, and that took months sometimes. Companies would say, we can't wait that long, we received a new contract, we have to expand almost immediately.
And so, on September 2nd, 1983, county commissioners founded the Westmoreland County Industrial Development Corporation. Known as the IDC, it was tasked with supporting economic development throughout the county and promoting a stable tax base. Those early years saw the organization sell properties in the first 2 parks, while it developed new parks in North Huntington and Penn Township. And it began developing what to this day remains its largest industrial park, Westmoreland Business and Research Park in Upper Burrell and Washington Townships. In the 80s and 90s, the IDC was guided by an economic development blueprint designed to prepare the county for the 21st century. One thing not in the plan was the closure of a major manufacturing operation. But in 1988, Volkswagen shut down its factory just outside of New Stanton. Initially an abandoned Chrysler project, the facility had produced the fuel-efficient VW Rabbit for a decade. It sat empty for 2 years until Sony announced it would manufacture TV picture tubes there.
And not only did they create the direct jobs, but they were very active in doing business with local companies. I'm saying over 500 different local companies were doing business with Sony. So that created an additional excitement and additional growth with other companies besides Sony.
In the 90s, the IDC ensured that 3 sites with industrial legacies could remain productive. It transformed 30 acres of an abandoned glass plant into Jeannette Industrial Park. When PPG closed a facility along Route 119, the IDC updated the building and reintroduced it as South Greensburg Commons. And it redeveloped 26 acres of the Monessen Works steel mill. The Monessen project was particularly notable because of the condition of the property beforehand and because of the impact it had on the community. It was also special to Governor Robert P. Casey, who underwent heart-liver transplant surgery in 1993. Casey's donor was from Monessen. In his last week in office, Casey personally delivered a $4 million check to the IDC.
I'm sure part of the reason he wanted to come to Monessen is to show his gratitude. His heart was in Monessen, yes.
While tackling those brownfield projects during the 1990s, the IDC was also busy with greenfield development. It had cleared land to develop I-70 Industrial Park and a second park, Distribution Park East-West, next to the Sony plant. It also had plans to create a business park next to the newly rechristened Arnold Palmer Regional Airport. But the IDC required a little help from the airport's namesake to safely land state funding for the project.
We had a developer from Latrobe who built buildings in many of our industrial parks named Dick Radilla. And he was good friends with Arnold Palmer. And so he took Arnold out to the site and said, we'd like to build an industrial park here. We need some help. So Mr. Palmer got on the phone and in fact followed up with a letter to the governor, who he was very close with, and the next thing you know, our funding was approved.
Pivoting from planes to trains, the IDC next built an intermodal facility that amplified the economic impact of 41 miles of freight rail it had acquired and began upgrading in the early 90s. By building this truck-to-rail transloading facility next to the Sony plant in the early 2000s, It extended the benefits of rail transportation to those companies without direct rail access. As the first decade of the new century was winding down, Sony announced it would shutter its local operations completely in 2010. For yet a third time, could a company be found to occupy the largest manufacturing space in the county?
We thought about the difficulty of attracting somebody to the site after Volkswagen left, and are we going to go this through a third time? How lucky are we going to be to fill 2.1 million square feet? So it was at that point we said, let's make the smart decision. It may take a while, but if we make it a multi-tenant facility, we are eventually going to fill up this building and employ once again.
Multi-tenant was indeed the route chosen. Because of its experience in revitalizing large industrial parks, Regional Industrial Development Corporation was tapped to lead the effort, while partnering with the IDC. The process was begun to transform the large factory space into a modern, multi-user facility that today lives up to its new name, RIDC Westmoreland Innovation Center. Meanwhile, with the development of Distribution Park North and Technology Park 2, the IDC had increased the number of its assets around the facility to 5. Sony's high watermark for jobs was a little more than 3,000. Today, the nearby IDC parks are home to about 2,000 jobs, and RIDC Westmoreland supports 1,000 more. So this cluster is sure to eclipse Sony's peak employment any day now. And because this area is home to nearly 40 companies, our economy is far more resilient and better positioned to weather the downturn of any one employer. The complex isn't just a place to get a job. It is home to facilities that train people for the types of careers available nearby. As a trustee of Westmoreland County Community College, Larice convinced WCCC leaders to locate the facility there.
The former Sony building would be a great place to locate it because of our plans to develop an industrial park system around that building to be the largest employment center in the county. We leased 70,000 square feet from the new RIDC entity and built the Advanced Technology Center, which is still operating today.
The IDC's most recent decade has seen the organization leverage the impact of an interstate highway, redevelop a couple of high-profile blighted properties, and help revitalize 2 cities with strong industrial legacies. 2 of those projects took place in Jeannette. In 2015, the IDC began tearing down Monsoor Medical Center, a notorious eyesore along busy Route 30. After demolishing the building and preparing the land for future development, the IDC shifted focus to downtown Jeannette, where the organization had acquired a 13-acre site in dire need of redevelopment. Home to the once iconic Jeannette Glass Company, the property featured several blighted industrial buildings that posed a danger to the community. After demolition and remediation, the site now is home to a $60 million cryogenic test facility. The before and after photos of the Jeannette Glass project always bring a smile to the face of IDC Executive Director Jason Rigoni.
It was by far my favorite, from the standpoint of what it meant to the city, as well as the transformational process that it went through. The challenge of addressing the physical conditions, the financial conditions, and then to be able to turn around and work with a local company like the Elliott Corporation to be able to invest significant dollars is just exactly why we're in the business of economic development. It's impacted the community, it's impacted the residents, its impact to the economic condition of that community as well as the surrounding county.
With the 2 Jeannette projects, demolition was an easy decision because the buildings were so far gone. But when possible, the IDC prefers to revitalize old industrial structures.
There are other sites, though, that may just be the doors just shut, the bones are still strong in the facility, and they have that aspect of being right in the heart of a community. Those sites are tax generating. If you just remove the facility, you also remove a lot of the tax generation that those sites create. So preserving the buildings is always an option that we consider first before we get into demolition.
The IDC next developed 5 pad-ready sites along Waltz Mill Road in Sewickley Township. Offering immediate interstate access, Commerce Crossing at Westmoreland was designed to attract businesses to the I-70 corridor. At the time, PennDOT was upgrading the nearby stretch of the interstate, and the two agencies collaborated to ensure that the park offers institutional-grade access to I-70.
And it really kind of fit hand in glove that we met that goal of having direct interstate, modern direct interstate access, rail access, pad-ready sites. And today, we're at 4 lots of 5 lots under agreement or sold. Through those partnerships, like with Senator Ward or those in Harrisburg, we were able to secure funding for public sewage and then secure the necessary resources for site development in the pad development scenario.
Partnerships have been key to recent IDC activity in the Alakiski Valley. It started when Penn State New Kensington Chancellor Kevin Snyder invited Rigoni to downtown New Ken to discuss an idea he had for revitalizing the Rust Belt city. As a result, the IDC paired its real estate expertise with the college's programmatic capabilities to open The Corner, a hub for entrepreneurial learning. Since 2017, it has incubated more than 100 businesses.
That has led to so many great things. And it shows the requirement to be creative and flexible with the resources and talent that you have to have impact, not only in one area of the county, but in other types of development, in this case, in the downtown urban area.
The Corner partnership flowed naturally into the IDC's advisory role with a county initiative that resulted in the Digital Foundry at New Kensington, which is spearheaded by the IDC's longtime partner, Economic Growth Connection of Westmoreland. And then, earlier this year, came a big announcement.
I'm proud to announce that Rebuild Manufacturing, Pennsylvania, along with our local partners at the Regional Industrial Development Corporation and Westmoreland County Industrial Development Corporation, are making an at least $81 million investment to create major innovation-focused manufacturing operation in New Kensington. This is a big deal.
The Rebuild announcement set the region's business community abuzz as the company committed to creating 300 advanced manufacturing jobs. It's an ideal tenant for the 70-acre manufacturing complex. With more than 1.1 million square feet of space and a 130-year manufacturing legacy that stretches back to Alcoa's founding, the site played a key role in the Alakiski Valley's history. The WCIDC and RIDC formed a partnership this year to ensure that New Kensington Advanced Manufacturing Park has a similar impact in the future.
There was an opportunity to partner with the city to be able to redevelop that into a productive industrial complex. That then turned into identifying partnerships, and that kind of led us to partnering with the RIDC, our relationship with the Regional Industrial Development Corporation, now going on to, I'll say, Partnership 2.0, has shown great success. We're leveraging resources, financial capacity, talent. Also, it helps leverage networks.
Though the composition of the IDC Board of Directors has changed multiple times over the years, one thing has remained consistent with the organization's leadership. It's never been content with the status quo.
For Westmoreland County, it's been very important that we've seen strong leadership from the county commissioners. They serve as our board of directors at the corporation. We've experienced, again, strong leadership, an understanding of the importance of investment, taking risks. We couldn't be where we are as a corporation and as a county if boards of directors weren't willing to invest in the corporation, in the community.
By steadily reinvesting in our communities, Westmoreland County has primed the pump for the years ahead.
Looking forward, the county is well positioned. We've made some significant investments in assets. Some of those assets are real estate based. Some of those assets are programmatic based. I believe that a lot of the pieces that are required for an economy to be diverse and successful, they've already been laid or they're in the process of being developed right now. The partnerships here we have at the county through our local municipalities and at our state level and with our business community, I only see success in the future. It's just a matter of continuing down this path that we've developed over time, I don't have any doubt that there are bright things ahead for Westmoreland County.